Mary Jo, nice to have you here. So happy to have you. And then who else do we have? Nicole, hi. Jean, so great to have you here. Gail, hello. Beth, welcome. Time for yoga. I want to say before today's practice that my podcast interviews, last week I interviewed a functional medicine doctor and a clinical nutritionist. And there was so much emphasis, or there is so much emphasis and research being done on the relationship between muscles and bones and the importance of having strong muscles for strong bones. So today I want to definitely focus on that, kind of raise awareness and share some information on that line so that we really understand this relationship and what we can do on a daily basis to support that. Are there any questions, any comments? Got some great newsletters. Just put out another podcast I'd love for you to all listen to called Skeletons in Your Closet, where I talk about this intricate relationship between gut health and bone health and how you were, who you were as a child affects your bones today. Something that 2024 has been teaching me for sure in the private work I'm doing with ladies with osteoporosis. And so lots going on. Any particular issues, any questions you have, I'd love to help answer those. Giving people a couple of minutes to arrive. And then I'm going to go and do my thing. So once I go there, I really can't answer questions. So if you did have any, hi, Shizwe, you're late. We waited. Wanted to wait a little bit, give people time to enter. So glad to have you here. All right. So every week I pick a topic and I pick a word or a few words to describe the practice. The word I chose today was the word balance, which might make you think we're going to do tree pose or we're going to work on balancing postures. And that is something we do often with yoga therapy for osteoporosis. Today, I'm going to focus on the balance between effort and ease, the balance between what is the appropriate stimulation that you need to create to strengthen your muscles, to strengthen your bones, and where might that be too much. So I want you to be in your body today and really pay attention, especially during the longer holds or some of the tougher postures, that you find what's appropriate for your body, because this is for everyone, regardless of where you begin or what's going on in your life. When I teach, my goal is that every single person could come to my class. Some people might stay up for one breath, some may stay in for 10 breaths. And the more you do, you build yourself up to a place where it'll be perfect for you. So today is the balance of you finding within yourself the right effort, the balance of just enough and not too much. Let's call it the Goldilocks practice, where you are in that zone. And it is important that on a daily basis, we do something to strengthen, to lengthen, to raise our awareness to our bone health so that we can be in control of our body and our bones for the rest of our lives. And that'll allow us to have a very great quality and active life. So for today's practice, the basic props that I always use, the block, the strap, and the blanket. And then other things you may need are a chair or a wall or something else to help support you in your practice. So I'd like us to begin in a seated position, bringing ourselves to this present moment. And then we'll go down on the ground and do a little bit more to correct our body. Take sitting out of the body. So fold your blanket, fold it quite a bit. If you have tighter hips, fold it even more so. We're going to set an intention for the practice today. You could sit in a crisscross leg position or soles of the feet together, whatever feels appropriate for you. Find something that feels good for you. And if you reach back and grab the flesh of the buttocks, you'll help to allow your pelvis, the bones of your pelvis, to be in a position to support the rest of your body. And then I'd like you to bring your elbows under your shoulders, palms on your thighs, and the palms are down to ground the mental energy. Then close your eyes, setting an intention for today's practice. The intention is to do all that you can safely and strongly, to pull, to push, to load into your muscles, into your joints, into your bones. So mouth is closed. Take a couple of breaths to fully arrive to this moment. Whatever happened before is gone, and whatever will happen after doesn't exist. This moment, bringing your awareness to your body, feel your head, your shoulders, your rib cage, your arms, your belly, your spine, your hips, the legs. Keep your mouth closed. Couple of deep breaths here to fully feel, to notice, to be in your body. Bringing your hands together at your heart, push your hands to your heart. Bringing your awareness to your eyelids, gently allow the eyes to blink themselves open. I like to begin with a breath work. This breath work is called Brahmari. It's also known as buzzing of the bees. And it is a humming sound. It helps to gently vibrate your throat, vibrate the vocal cords, and it is relaxing for the brain. I learned this breath years and years ago, but I was studying in India with one of the world's maybe oldest at the time, in his 90s, and most wonderful pranayama teachers. And he taught us the Brahmari. And I remember asking, should I feel it on one side or the other? And he said, you shouldn't be paying attention to anything other than the humming sound. So I want you to try to notice what you notice in your throat. Notice what you notice in your breath. On the exhalations, we make a humming sound. It's like this. You take an inhale. It extends the exhalation. It relaxes the nervous system, relaxes the body, relaxes the mind. We're going to do this for a few minutes. I'll eventually say, finish up your last breath, and then we'll come out. So I'd like you to be in a comfortable seated position, palms down or palms up, your choice, or even hands at the heart, whatever feels best for you. Then you close your eyes, sit nice and tall. When the eyes are closed, you could feel more. So noticing if you need to adjust your body so that you're not distracted by physical sensations. Take your jaw, wiggle your jaw back and forth. And then let your lips gently touch. So your exhalation should be as long as you can make it, as even paced as you can make it. There is no right or wrong, no length or anything with this breath. So let's begin. Take a big exhale. Big inhale. Finish the breath you're on and take one more breath. And then just stay with your breath. Keep your mouth closed. Breathe in and out through your nose. Noticing what you notice. And bring your hands together. Rub your hands together. Press them into your chest. Sit nice and tall. Bringing that intention into your field of awareness. Balance the right effort and also ease when that is necessary. Bring your awareness to your eyes. Allow your eyes to blink themselves open. Yoga is a practice of self-care. So starting off with this intention to stay in the place that will be the most healing. Let's do chest expansion, a way to open up, to stretch the front of the body, to correct our posture. I'd like to use the blocks as a pretty intense way, so thinking of the word balance, what's right for you today. I'm going to put this behind my heart and then fold the blanket to go behind my head. If you have other props that you'd like to use, you could use that instead. But you want to make sure that the block is low and make sure it's not up higher on the upper back. You want to have it right behind your heart, not any higher. So coming onto the block, it starts right around the bra line area. The shoulder blades slide towards each other and the shoulder blades are supported by the block. It's good to start with your legs bent because it's a pretty big opener and you want the freedom for your legs. And then bringing your arms to the side, you determine, is it out to the side? Is it a little higher? Whatever it is for you, do what's appropriate for you. And then close your eyes, close your mouth, breathe in and out through your nose. Let the posture do the work. Let the prop help to stretch, to open. Notice where in your body this is occurring. Deep breaths. Breathe to the place that you feel the most tension. Let the exhale soften the tension. And then bring the breath to your heart, to the place where the majority of the stretch is taking place. See if you can get the breath to deepen the stretch, especially at the top of the inhale. Stay connected to your breath.
And then begin to bring the breath down to your belly. Try to isolate the movement at the belly. So keep the chest quiet, breathing down to your belly, letting the props do this deep opening in the chest, the spine, the shoulders. And then the last few breaths, you decide. You could straighten the legs if you want to explore that. You could stay breathing to the belly, or if you felt more of a deeper stretch, breathing to the heart, try that. Do whatever feels appropriate for you. And then finish up your last breath. Bringing your awareness to your fingers, to your toes, starting to bring movement into your body. Then we're going to come off the props onto your side, letting the spine find the balance of neutrality, having gravity push down from a different direction, letting that tension leave your muscles from what the prop was doing. And then from here, we're going to come up, pushing away strongly with our arms to bring ourselves all the way up and out. Let's get the blankets underneath our knees. So I'd like now to do a warm up to bring balance into our joints, to bring balance into the front of the body and the back of the body. So I'd like it that you're able to do some practices by yourself, even when you're not taking a class. So let's come into a very wide stance on all fours. This is known as tabletop or all fours. A really wide stance here with your hands and your legs. And then turn your fingers out to the side. Bring yourself forward and bring yourself back. Keep your gaze forward. So you're activating or strengthening the upper back muscles, not letting your head just hang out. You go back and you come forward. Getting a little deeper in this, you're stretching your hip joint, stretching the shoulder joint, starting to go a little bit bigger, then maybe even coming closer to the floor with the pelvis, closer to the mat with the head. Forward and backwards. Close your eyes and feel this. Where do you feel the stretch? Let your body tell you what is the appropriate place for you. The balance between end range of motion and your appropriate place of range of motion. Eventually, if you could let the body touch the floor when you come forward and let the head touch the mat when you go back, keeping your arms straight. Any variation Any place within that range of motion is good. Stretching the front of your body and the spine. One more each direction. And then bring yourself so that your knees are underneath your pelvis. Your arms are straight, fingers are straight. You're about the distance of your mat. You bend your hips deeply to push the lower belly towards the legs, keeping your tushy in the air. Bend your body back, let your head touch the floor. Let your arms be straight, push your heart towards the ground. This is stretching your spine safely when you have osteoporosis. Stretching your underarm area and your chest muscles safely. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. Then you're going to walk your hands over to the right side. Push your hips to the left and let your head rest on the left arm. Pushing your hips to the left, really let your head rest on the left arm and push into the left arm. Feel that stretch underneath the armpits and on the upper side body. Deep rest to the left side. Take one more breath. Then we're going to come to the other side. You're going to walk your hands over to the left side, pushing your hips to the left and let your head rest on your right arm. Sorry, hips to the right and the head on the right arm. Keep your right arm straight, pushing your body to the right, breathing to the right side body, strengthening your body and really lengthening. So really stretching your body here. Push to the right side. Let your head rest on your right arm. Push your heart towards the ground. Push your hips to the right. Feel that long stretch along the right side of your body. Take one more breath. Bring yourself back to center, head on the ground. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. It's important to be stretched before you come into the practice, bringing blood into the muscles. So the first thing we're going to do is challenge ourselves. What's appropriate for you? We're going to come into plank. Take your hands underneath your shoulders. This is a tremendous posture that can be done anywhere. Great if you work and you're at a desk and you want to take a break. Good for the front body, for the upper body. Take one foot back, all 5 toes are bent, and then take the other one back. And then you decide here. So having the feet closer together, the hands closer together, and the pointer fingers forward is the strongest and hardest variation of this posture. And then if you're really struggling, try this. Take your legs wide as your mat. Take your hands wider, as wide as your mat. And notice how that feels. Maybe this is an easier variation and you could hold the posture longer. So that might be something that you try. If you want to go into a 3-legged plank, you need to bring yourself back so that you're stacking your joints. And then try adding a little bit by lifting one leg. See if that's appropriate for you to do for this pose for you. And then switch. If you need to come down earlier, do that. Bring both feet back, push through the heels, push away from the floor strongly with your hands and with your feet. Feel the strength in your body, keep your head active. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. Balance yourself by catching your breath from that posture. Close your eyes. Relax your heart rate by deepening your breath. Breathing down to your belly, down to your pelvis helps to slow down the heart rate. And then gently open your eyes. The next posture we're going to do is another challenging posture, side plank, strengthening the side of the body, the side of the hip joint, which is really important, and the side of the spine. This is actually a posture used to help to correct spinal curvatures like those in scoliosis. It's tremendous strengthening for the shoulder joint as well. So as we balance choosing what's appropriate for us, maybe you don't stay up as long if that's a harder posture for you. Let me show you what we're going to do so you could determine what variation you need to do. This is the big one. The next variation could be this, really lifting the pelvis up. And if this looks too intense, because it is a very strong posture, you could come into a modification by coming into one leg on the ground and lifting one leg up in the air. That's your variation. So those are 3 different variations for Vasisthasana, side plank. And then when you're in it, you see what is appropriate for you. We want to turn our heart lights forward in this posture, make sure we don't collapse in the shoulder joint. So this is a posture you could hurt yourself in if you don't protect yourself and show up with the balance between what is the right variation and or the right time for you. So I'm going to begin in the full variation. You choose whatever you'd like. If you bring the feet together and you lift your pelvis and come onto your side, you start with the side foot. That's where you're pushing away from the floor, bringing your arm up towards the sky. And then you want your heart to be pointing up towards the sky. So lengthen your spine, push away from the floor with the pinky toe edge. You can push the feet into each other to help. The shoulder blades are going towards each other for that stabilization in the upper back. Lengthen your spine and rotate it up towards the sky. That downward underarm area is rolling upwards. And then whenever you need to come out, come out. Let's take a break, catch our breath before we go to the next side. And then open your eyes. Stronger muscles, stronger bones. More energy production in the body. When we have stronger muscles, the cells that are in the muscles, the mitochondria, the organelles inside the cells, help to create energy production. And then also for fall prevention and balance, you want more muscles so that you can protect yourself for fall prevention. So that's part of what happens when we lose our balance as we age. We lose muscle mass, and then we don't have that communication to keep us upright. So strengthening muscles does help our balance by having muscles to protect us. Let's come into whatever variation you're going to come into the variation, and once you're here, really pushing away from the ground, bringing your arm up, and then refining the whole time you're in it. So the shoulder blades go towards each other, the spine is nice and long. Bringing your awareness to your feet, really push them into each other and push away from the floor so you don't collapse your hips. Long spine, underarm area rolling up or lengthens. Long spine. Deep breaths, the breath helps you. Finding when it's right time for you to dismount, and then dismount when you need to. No prizes are given out in the yoga practice. Well, the prizes are a stronger body and a stronger mind, yet you need to be in that appropriate place. Close your eyes, catch your breath. And then open your eyes. Definitely a stronger posture, Vasisthasana. Let's take the blanket. You're going to need your strap and your block for this. So get your block and get your strap. Reach under, grab the flesh, come to the front edge of your blanket and move your flesh back. And then take the block and bring the block in between the top legs. The block is touching the ground. Get your strap or a towel or whatever it is that you'd like to use. And then your feet are active. So your toes are spread, soles of the feet are away from you. And then not rounding forward, but rather trying to lasso with the strap lengthened. Try to lasso your feet so that the strap is right below the biggest part of your foot, the ball of your foot. You squeeze the block, you push into your pinky toe edges, your elbows are underneath your shoulders. You pull back and you lift your heart up. From here, chin is balanced, parallel to the ground. You're pushing your legs down, you're pushing out on the strap, you're squeezing the block. And this is a posture to strengthen posture. It's called staff pose or Dandasana. So push down a lot and then bring your whole body forward. That nice L-shaped hip joint helps to strengthen the hip, and we need that for proper forward folding. Elbows are in at the sides. Legs are pressed down onto the ground. Push your legs down, push into the block. Pull your hands back. To add a little bit, if that feels like something you could do, you could let go of the strap and bring your arms up into scarecrow, keeping the arms right alongside your body, not forward, but right alongside. Squeeze the block, push your legs down, chin is parallel, hands are back. Keep the upper arm bones right at shoulder height, if you're able to. Squeeze the block, push your feet down, and then take one more breath, and then release. Bring the block to the side, the strap to the side. So I'll tell you that for me, I started to feel the heat developing in my upper back between my shoulder blades as my arms were up there. So this is what this posture does. It strengthens that whole posterior chain of postural muscles, and it strengthens the hip flexors, keeping that deep hip flexion. And then, of course, coming out when it's appropriate for you, let's stretch the inner thigh muscles, the adductors, sitting nice and tall here. Knees are out to the side. Catching your breath. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. So we'll come into a twist Twisting is the best way to strengthen the vertebra of the spine, and it needs to be done safely. So this part of your body, the safe spinal space right below the ribs and right by the belly button, we need to maintain length when we're coming into the twist. If you are collapsed in your spine and you rotate forward, that's not safe for the front of the spine. And then in order to create the appropriate stimulation for you, you want to go to the range of motion where the pulling action that you feel is appropriate. Trying to get the spine here in the rib cage to be what rotates the most. So bring your block behind you on the left side. Legs are straight, and then you bend the left leg. Hold on to the left leg and pull your heart closer to the left leg. Right leg is active. Push the left leg down, push the right leg down. And then hold on to the left leg with the right arm. Keep that elbow active. Take your hands on the floor and push down to get tall in your body. Lower your shoulders, slide your shoulder blades towards each other. Take a big exhale here, and then inhale, bring the lower rib cage, the middle rib cage, and the upper rib cage deep into this rotation. And then refine it. Straight right leg pushing down into the ground, shoulders away from the ears, shoulder blades towards each other, shoulders forward, lengthening, stretching. Keep the right elbow active and lifted. You're not leaning in the left hand, you're pushing away to get tall. And then those shoulder blades are really important with twisting. Slide them towards each other and forward to lengthen the front of your spine and to add as much thoracic spine rotation as possible. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. Let's push the block over to the side, coming through center to rearrange, coming to the right side, right foot is bent. Holding on, let both elbows be lifted and active, let the left leg be active, and take the hand on the block so you can push down and bring that length into your spine. And before you rotate, lower the shoulders, slide the shoulder blades closer to the spine and push them forward. That helps to lengthen. Exhale, and then inhale, the whole lower ribs, middle ribs, and upper ribs. Rotate deeply. Bring your elbows up, neck is nice and long. Push your foot down, the right foot and the whole left leg. And then constantly refine this. Lower the shoulders, slide the shoulder blades towards each other. Press the shoulder blades forward and up. Breathe deep down to your pelvis. Lower those shoulders, slide the shoulder blades forward. Deep breaths. Keep using the shoulder blades to slide towards each other and forward. Active feet, active leg, active elbows. Take one more breath. Bring yourself tall, unwind yourself, bring yourself all the way out. And sit with your legs a little bit wide, maybe as wide as your mat. When you bend forward, go a little lower by the knees and down. Make sure you don't round your spine. So that's the thing. You're letting your hips do the action. And then go ahead, bend your knees, and let's come up. Take your blanket onto the mat. We're going to do another posture. Now this one is a challenge. And so typically when we
choose something that's more challenging where we can't stay up as long because it's pretty challenging. And so this is where you can really show up for yourself on what is appropriate for me. How long should I stay up? This is a reverse tabletop. It does a lot of stretching in the shoulder area. So if you have shoulder issues, your balance is going to be maybe you don't do this posture, or maybe you try it and you stay up for a breath or two. So the balance of what's appropriate for you. Bring your hands onto the ground and bring your hands towards your tushy so that you can bring the shoulder blades towards each other and make sure you don't collapse in your chest. The shoulder blades help you there. Your feet are body distance. Take it and spread your hands a lot. Take an exhale and then push away from the floor as you inhale to bring up your pelvis. Coming up into a tabletop position. Push your fingers into the floor, push your hands into the floor, and then push your heart up to the floor. Push your feet in, lift your pelvis, feel that stretch in the front of the shoulders and feel the work to push away from the floor like this. For the head, if the nose points straight up towards the sky, it's a lot of tension in the upper back and neck, finding what's appropriate for you, or you may need to tuck your chin towards your chest. So find the right variation of this posture for yourself. Push your fingertips in to help with the wrists. Squeeze your tushy. And then lowering down gently in the shoulder joint, bringing yourself down, coming into a rest position to notice what you notice. Closing your eyes, bring your awareness to your shoulders, to your neck. Mouth is closed, breathing. And then go ahead and open your eyes. So when we come up to standing, we're going to use the strap in the chair posture, and I would like it to have a loop if you have that ability to find a loop. And the loop would be at this distance here, which is going to activate the shoulder girdle. So before we go up to standing, if you can loop your strap, you'll also have the option to pull if you don't have a strap or if you can't loop your strap. So if you are able to loop it, please do so. Putting your strap and then your block onto the highest level, because when we stand up, we have to bend down, and if you give yourself that extra lift, then you have to bend less, because forward folding is one of the things we have to be the most careful of when it comes to our bone health, to keep our spine safe. Otherwise, if you don't pay attention to forward folding with your spine, it contributes to compression wedge fractures, and those lead to hip fractures. So we're gonna come up through a down dog, which is a challenge, and we're gonna hover in a squatted position, which is tremendously healthy for developing lower body muscles and stronger bones. So take your hands wide. I like it to be that maybe the thumb and the pointer finger are on the mat and the other fingers are off. Your knees are supported, and most importantly, feet are wide. Don't have your feet close together. The feet are coming right out of the knees. Flip your toes under, and then push your body back and lift your tushy up in the air. From here, if you'd like, you could put one heel at a time towards the ground. Keep your head lifted. Don't let it flop. And then if you're able to push both heels, try to push the outside edge of the heels. Try to deepen the hip flexion, the hip bend a little more. And then bending the knees, walk yourself back. So we're going to take our time getting up.
If it's too much for you, don't come up too quickly. You need to let your blood vessels calibrate, your blood pressure calibrate, or you could fall. Bring your hands onto your thighs and push your hands together and lower your tushy. Lift your heels off the floor. So you could stay here if this is ready a challenge, or you could challenge yourself more by coming into a position where you bring your hands forward. So you either have your hands on your thighs or forward. Lots of pressure in your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, your low body muscles, really important for healthy aging, for strong hip joint, strong pelvis, for fall and fracture prevention. We want that strong lower body. Can you go deeper? Harder when we load deeper into our joints. Take one more breath. And then slowly bring yourself up to a place of relaxation. Let's find the mountain. Stacking and aligning your joints. Toes touch, heels are apart, hands are down. Push the thighs back, squeeze the tushy, pull the tailbone down. Lift your heart, chin parallel, head back. If you're able to close your eyes as you relax your breath. If not, you could leave them open, minimize your gaze. And then gently blink your eyes open. So we're going to go into tree pose. Make sure that you don't have anything that will get in the way. So the blanket is there. If you need to move it, do so, setting yourself up for success. It's easy when we come out of an alignment position like mountain to go into the tree. This is a balanced posture and can be challenging. So if you do need a chair or a wall, that would be the time that you make that decision for you. Take your hands down alongside your body. It does us no good to do something that is unsafe when it comes to practicing yoga. So if you need a wall or you need a chair, that's okay, get it. Maybe one day you won't, or maybe it's something you will always use. And whatever it is, it is. Take your hands down alongside your body. Let's go to one side, bend the opposite toes, bring the foot up in between the ankle and the knee. You could stay here with your hands down or come into a scarecrow arm, or you could turn this into a challenge where you look up and down or look side to side. Ooh. Or you start to play with the visual aspects of balance and close one eye or the other. And again, the balance of what's appropriate for you as you practice balance. Choose what's appropriate. Challenge yourself appropriately. We get stronger when we challenge ourselves. We don't want to hang out in complacency. We want to bring in a challenge. So do what you can. Even if you fall out, challenge yourself. Let that ankle, let that foot, try to manage your head all over the place. Ooh, or your eyes, doing whatever you need to do. And then let's come out. And so that was definitely much more of a challenge for me, doing all of that movement of my head and getting the vestibular system to be involved in my balance. And what I notice when I come out is the action in my feet. So my foot now, I feel that. I feel all that work the muscles of my feet were doing to figure out where am I. And all of the body movement, all those muscles that were activated. So that's a different variation of tree than I typically do. I don't usually do that much movement in tree. And I feel that and notice that. So now that's another growth area in different muscles in the ankle joint than I have done in the past. So take your hands down along, find your mountain, find your alignment position. And then from here, the other foot, bending the toes, bringing the foot up in between the ankle and the knee. And here you do whatever is appropriate for you on this leg.
Maybe even noticing, is this leg harder? Is this leg easier? What do you notice on this side? And even if you do fall out of it, step out of it, come right back. Falling out of the posture doesn't mean you failed. Let your foot do what it needs to do. Let your body do what it needs to do. Enjoy your practice. And then bring yourself through one more breath and bring yourself out. Take your feet, shake your feet. Here's a little balance practice while you're stretching your feet. Point and flex, point and flex. Strengthening your standing hip joint. Working on balancing your standing leg. Now circles in one direction. Keep the leg still. The kneecap is pointing up towards the sky. Nothing is moving except for the foot. This is an ankle joint movement. So really moving the stretching the ankle joint on one side, strengthening the hip, leg, and the muscles of the leg on the other. And then bring yourself out. Let's go to the other side. Bring your toes forward and then point and flex. Now balancing in the other side, other hip joint gets stimulation, leg bones get stimulation, and leg muscles. And then you get that ankle joint and the foot and the leg, the lower leg muscles. And then go ahead and bring yourself down. So let's clear our space, making sure we bend safely. Push the tushy back to bend the hip joint, to bend down to get your prop, your blanket, moving that off to the side. And then let's warm up our body a little bit more. So come a little wider than hip distance. Push your pelvis forward. When you push forward, you'll feel the stretch coming into the front of the hips. And then push your pelvis to one side. Feel that stretch there. Push your pelvis back. Your heart is forward. And then push yourself to the other side and bring yourself forward. Turn that into a circle, moving your pelvis around as much as you can. You're going to feel that in the hips. So you get some of your core muscles, trunk muscles, get those hips, low back gets involved, glutes get involved, hamstrings, quads, hip flexors. Bringing yourself forward. Let's go to the other side. Forward, side, back, side. Forward, side, back, side. And move around throughout this movement. And then bring yourself all the way out, shaking your legs. So let's come into some strength. We're going to do the triangle posture, stretching the legs, pulling on the pelvic bone, and strengthening the legs of the muscles of the legs. So a couple of ways you could do this. You could be at a wall. I think today I'll do the wall because I don't have a chair. I think it's either better to be at a wall or to have a chair. I find that most people go down lower than they should. So the balance for triangle today is this. Feel your lower ribs and then find the top of your pelvis. When we're in triangle pose, we want to maintain the space between the lower ribs and the top of the pelvis without shortening it. So stand up here and see how you could bring the lower ribs closer to the top of the pelvis. We're bending the spine. Go to the other side. This is bending the spine sideways. In the triangle, we don't want to do that.
So bring yourself up. We want the spine to stay nice and long, and we want the bend to be in our hip joint. So let's go to this side. Depending on what your range of motion is, if you're newer to the practice or you need to be careful, then getting a chair to be over here would be a good idea. Or you could use a block, or you could have a wall behind you. You want to come into a very wide stance here. The back toes are pointing forward, the front toes are pointing forward. Then you activate the feet by lifting the arches and pushing the pinky toe edges and grabbing the floor with the toes. So that's active feet, which is where the postures begin when we're standing. Take your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Keep your front hand on your leg to keep that space between lower ribs and top of pelvis. Keep your pelvis right underneath your head. Don't let your pelvis go backwards. You might not go down as low as you usually do. And that means that that's where you should be in your triangle. Take your front hand on your leg, lengthen your spine, exhale. As you inhale, bend that front hip, keep the lower rib away from the shoulder or away from the top of the pelvis. When you can't go any lower, that's where you are in triangle. Take your hand up in the sky. For those that can go down onto the block or the chair, when you go down, can you pull the lower rib away from the pelvis? Keep that deep bend in your hip joint. And then active feet. And then you lengthen your spine and rotate it up towards the sky. It's that lower under armpit area that is trying to turn up towards the sky. With that safe bend in the hip, tushy is not too far back. You're in between like two sheets of glass. Feel the stretch wherever you do. There's a lot of stretching, a lot of pulling on the pelvis here. Pushing into the pelvis with that femur bone of the front leg and pulling on the pelvis as the ribs move away from the pelvis and you rotate your trunk. Feel all that. Active feet. Take one more breath. Keep your legs straight as you rip the floor apart and you bring yourself up with your core muscles all the way up. Let's go to the other side. Take whatever props you need over to the other side. And then preparing for the other side, your toes point away from you. Your heel points away, so the toes are both pointing in the same direction. We're going to bend that front hip now. So take your hand on your leg, your other hand up. Exhale. As you inhale, start to push your pelvis away from you. Start that bend in the hip. Keep the lower rib away from the top pelvis by pressing the heel of the front arm into your leg to keep that space necessary in the spine. When you go as low as you can, you're going to bring your chair, your hand on the chair, your hand on the block, and then bring your awareness to your hip. Bend the hip, lengthen the spine, pull the lower rib and the top of the pelvis away from each other. And then with that length, rotating up towards the sky. Feel the stretch, a lot of stretching here at the back of the pelvis, at that upper arm side, feeling that stretch at the top of your pelvis as you try to lengthen and rotate your trunk forward. Deep hip bend, you'll feel a lot of pulling on the pelvis with that front leg, the hamstring muscle group, maybe a little adductors, inner thigh muscles. Head up towards the sky is more tension on the neck. If your neck is not happy, you could try forward, or you could try looking down towards the ground. So you choose the right head position for your body. Active feet, pinky toe edges, push the toes in, arches are lifted. Take one more breath. Rip the floor apart to slowly bring yourself up using your core. Take a break and rest in Mountain Tadasana. Eyes closed if that's appropriate for you. then go ahead and open your eyes. So we'll come into another standing posture. This is side angle, and this is going to stretch the adductors, pulling on the pelvis, adding that spinal rotational force, getting lower lumbar support, getting pelvic support, getting hip joint support, and a lot of work to strengthen the leg muscles, which is important for us as we age and we want to be active for as long as possible. So you bring a block there if you need a block, or if you want to be near a wall, you can. Take yourself into a really wide stance. And then the toes point forward, back heel, so both toes are pointing forward. Put a slight bend in that front leg, active feet, shoulders are forward, up, back, and they're down. Take your back hand on the thigh. As you inhale, let that hand slide down past your knee or to your knee, bending the front leg. From here, you bring your arms up, lift your heart, and then from here, bending that front hip, reach long. Bring your hand on top of your thigh, your other hand in the air, or bring your arm on either to the inner leg or onto the block. Go as deep as you can in your legs, keep your feet active, lengthen your spine, and then rotate your spine up towards the sky. Side angle, really push your leg away from you with the arm, whether you're resting on it, you're on the inner joint, or you're on a block. Feel that deep adductor stretch, those inner thigh muscles pulling on your pelvis from a different angle. So for fracture prevention, the more we pull on the bones, we strengthen them, and we also have that ability or that range of motion in our body. We have lengthened muscles, more flexible joints for fracture prevention. Long spine and rotated spine. Take one more breath, and then bring yourself up and out. Now noticing a little bit of a longer hold, and depending on how deep you go, you may be creating a lot of stimulation. So if you needed to rest in the mountain in between, do that. Take the deep breaths that you need, balancing that effort and ease. It's called stira and sukha, the effort and the ease. Stira, the effort, sukha, the ease. Let's come into the leg position on the other side. So a slight bend in the front leg, shoulders are forward, up, back, and they're down. Get active in your feet, hand down your leg, exhale, and then slide the hand down to bend the front leg. Go to the kneecap or beyond, bring yourself down, and then bring your hands up. Rip the floor apart with your feet, so feel the pinky edges pushing into the feet, and feel like you're pushing them or pulling them away from each other. From here, reach long onto your top thigh, or to the inner leg, or to the block. You decide. Can you go a little lower in that front leg, bending deeper? The deeper you bend, the more stimulation you're putting in your leg. You're taking the femur bone farther away from your torso, having to manage your weight in a deep bend position, lots of strain for the muscles, for the joints. Rip the floor apart, lengthen your heart, and then move your heart up towards the sky. Keep refining the posture. Don't hang out. Keep moving. Active pinky toe edges. Really push that front arm into the thigh. You'll feel a very deep adductor stretch, inner thigh stretch. Long spine and rotated. Take one more breath. Bringing yourself back up and out, finding mountain to rest. Feel your legs, feel your feet, feel your ankles, feel your heart. And then open your eyes. Okay, so we're gonna come to chair pose. So grab your strap, looped or you hold on to it here. If you don't have a strap, hands can go in front of you as if you're holding a big imaginary ball of energy. And then take your block, bring your block between your upper thighs. So with chair, we want to bend deep into the hip joint, keeping the torso high. So draw your elbows back, your shoulders back, your wrists back, slide the shoulder blades towards each other, lower the shoulders. Your feet are block distance and you're going to squeeze the block in the upper thighs. And then sit back, load into this deep chair pose. Squeeze the block, tailbone down, and then bring your arms up. Try to keep the torso up and that deep bend in your hips. Toes off if you can. The weight is back. Your hips are farther back than your knees. So you're managing that backward movement. Real deep hip flexion here. A little deeper if you can. Definitely a challenge to end the practice today. Longer hold and chair, lots of lower body stimulation. Coming out when you need. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself up and out. Take your props off to the side. Mountain to rest. Catch your breath. And then let's release anything that came up in the practice today. We're going to do whoosh, which is an extended exhalation, relaxes the pelvic floor, a lot of stimulation to the lower body. Let's release, relax, and let go of tension in today's practice. So whoosh with an extended exhale. Grab from the sky things you may know that you want to get rid of, or just grab from the sky tension. Hold on tight, inhale. Grab from the sides, maybe something yesterday, maybe something at the beginning of practice, something that's not in this present moment. Grab, grab, grab. Hold tight. And now from behind. It could be something from the very beginning of practice, from earlier today, from 10 years ago, from this lifetime, from previous lifetimes, subconscious or conscious. Grab it, hold tight. Let's come down and allow the posture of integration, Shavasana, to integrate everything that needs to be settled in our body, in our mind, and in our soul. Any last minute, anything you need, it could be knees to chest, it could be legs up in the air to let everything settle. Whatever you need, let it do it. And then bring yourself into final rest, Shavasana. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Starting to move hands, feet, arms, legs. Bending your knees and drawing your knees into your chest one at a time. Keep the knees wide and rock side to side. Noticing, how does your back feel after this practice? A lot of pulling on that upper ridge of the pelvis. Come onto your side, and from here all the way up. We'll close the practice with sound, coming into a seated position, bringing your hands together. Nice long spine here. We'll close with a humming sound. Let the humming sound calm your body and your mind and your soul. Take a big exhale. Inhale. Hands up to the forehead, bowing forward in gratitude. So today's practice, because we were challenging ourselves by trying to find the balance of when is it too much, when is it just right. So we stimulated a little bit more in our body today. Really important to drink and hydrate after this practice, because the practice itself, moving, compressing, lengthening, swishing, is going to release things into your system that need to be managed by your detoxification system. So make sure you hydrate. especially after a practice like this. All right, so I would like to have feedback from those of you that are here. How was today's practice for you?
Diane, nice to have you here. Great. Nice to see you, Nicole. Hope all is going well on the farm. And Mary Jo, great to have you. Yeah. Well, we chose that theme balance, and then I thought, why don't we balance out this? Yeah, all that squishy water. Great, longer holds. And we didn't do as many physical postures today, but we held them longer. Thumbs up if you like this. Share with someone that you may think is interested. Subscribe to my channel. It's recorded. There's a lot of videos on my YouTube channel. All my podcasts are recorded. So listen to my podcast, some great, amazing guests. The episode with Dr. Stacy Robinson, functional medicine doctor, I ask the question always, is osteoporosis reversible? And she says, yes, I see it happen all the time. So we can reverse bone loss and osteoporosis, and that is what I'm here to help you do. All right, Beth, nice to see you. Yeah, good, Nicole. Longer holds too helps to balance the mind. So sometimes we need that. Gail, great. Thanks, Gail. Yeah, I try to develop that body awareness. I think it's really key. The more you know about your body, the more you refine, then the more effective you're being. And why shouldn't we get the best out of our practice when we're showing up to do it? All right, have a lovely day, and I will see you when I see you. Great. Yeah, harder, but good. Yeah, Jean. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.